我82年单身，北漂16年。
I was born in 1982, single, and have been living in Beijing for 16 years now. I've always heard that the matchmaking corner near Zhongshan Park is very lively, but I've never been there before. Today, I made a special trip to experience it, to see for myself. As it turns out, my heart shattered into pieces. There were indeed a lot of people at the matchmaking corner, with all kinds of matchmaking ads spread on the ground. Almost all of them were posted by elderly parents looking for partners for their children. Most of those participating in the matchmaking were locals from Beijing. I took a closer look at those ads and found that many of them were for girls, most of whom were born between 1985 and 1991 or 1992. I noticed that these girls were well educated and had good qualifications overall, but their requirements for a future partner were also relatively high. Among them, quite a few had jobs in government or public institutions. To be honest, I didn't come here with the intention of finding a match, just to take a stroll. But after just a few steps, I encountered some awkward scenes, which were enough to give me a heart attack. Scene 1. A lady came up to me and asked, "Are you here to help your child find a match? Is your child a boy or a girl?" Oh my God, do I really look that old? Then scene 2 played out. An elderly man asked me, "Young lady, are you here for matchmaking yourself?" I replied, yes. He then asked how old I was. I said I was born in 1982. He immediately responded, "Would you consider an older man?" I asked, "How much older?" He said, "This man is 59 this year and has an annual income of over 2 million yuan. Would that be okay?" My heart skipped a beat, and I thought, is this a joke? So I said, forget it. I think an annual income of 200,000 yuan is just fine. The elderly man continued, "There are men your age, but their conditions are average." Out of curiosity, I asked, "How average?" He said, "Men your age only earn about 600,000 yuan a year, which is considered average." After hearing this, I was speechless. An annual income of 600,000 yuan is considered average? The elderly man then said, "The resources I have are all top-notch." I wondered to myself, is this guy trying to make me pay some kind of matchmaking fee? He's throwing out such big bait, but come on, it's a bit too much. I've seen the world, after all. I couldn't take it anymore and had to leave this heartbreaking place as quickly as possible. I decided to take a walk to clear my mind. After all, I've been in Beijing for so many years, but this was my first time at Zhongshan Park. There wasn't much special about the park, except that it's a good place to cool off in the summer, sitting under the trees, daydreaming, or reading a book. After leaving Zhongshan Park, I headed to Wangfujing Snack Street, planning to soothe my broken heart with some delicious food. Along the way, I saw all kinds of Beijing snacks, and my mood lifted. Turning sadness into appetite, I began to feast. So, what do you think? Should I laugh or cry about my matchmaking experience at Zhongshan Park?
Hello， 大家晚上好。我回来西安大概3年多了。
Good evening, everyone. It's been over 3 years since I returned to Xi'an. I was born in 1985. Today is my first time trying the matchmaking corner at the park on a Sunday, and it was really packed with people. A bustling scene that left me a bit surprised. However, what impressed me even more were the few men I met today, which dealt quite a blow to my self-confidence. First, the first man was wearing a pair of very tight jeans, so tight that I thought they were even tighter than mine. Honestly, I really can't accept a man dressing so tightly. It just felt a bit uncomfortable to me. Then, the second man was about half a head shorter than me, and he looked up to greet me. "Hello, may we get to know each other?" I glanced back at him and noticed that one of his glasses lenses seemed to be smeared with something, especially one lens. Half of it was covered with something like cake or cream. Also, his pants were full of grease stains. I don't really care what brand of clothes people wear, but I really can't accept a man having so many stains on his pants. Next, the third man asked to exchange contact information with me, so we added each other. Out of curiosity, I asked him what his job was, and he told me he worked in the beauty and hairdressing industry. I immediately suspected that he might be trying to turn me into one of his clients, and after exchanging contact info, he quickly left. Finally, there was another man who made me mistake him for someone looking for an elderly partner, and he might have thought I was also looking for an elderly partner. I asked him his age, and he replied that he was born in 1978. I awkwardly told him that it might not be quite suitable, but unexpectedly he said, "It's okay, even if you're older than me, I don't mind." That really left me at a loss whether to laugh or cry. In the end, I told him, "Sorry, but I do mind." After strolling around the park, I returned home with a rather complicated feeling. It seems that nowadays, in everyone's eyes, they might think I'm out here looking for an elderly partner. Originally, I thought maybe I could meet one or two men I could have a good conversation with, but the reality is, although there were many people, I didn't meet a single man who truly clicked with me. It's really hard.
我专门去百度查了一下停水、停电、拉闸具体的意思是什么。其实
I am 36 years old this year. I specifically looked it up online and found that society now has a new term for us older single women: stopped water, stopped electricity, or pulling the plug. These terms actually refer to the decline in a woman's fertility. Although this saying sounds somewhat blunt and even crude, it indeed reflects the reality of fertility for women in their 30s. I personally can feel it too. At this age, the changes in the body have become more noticeable. However, not all women are like this. Some women are in particularly good health, and their fertility doesn't seem to be much affected. So, which women have better physical conditions? Generally speaking, women who are more voluptuous tend to have stronger bodies. For example, if their feet are plump, and their calves and thighs are also plump, this kind of fuller figure is usually a sign of good health. Of course, being voluptuous doesn't necessarily mean that they look particularly overweight. Some women may have small frames but higher body fat percentages, and their physical constitution is usually also better. These kinds of women, even when they reach 30, don't see much difference in their physical condition compared to when they were in their 20s. However, there are also some very slim women who are in great health as well, though I haven't personally observed many examples of this type. As for myself, my physical condition has been constantly changing. For example, when I was younger, my menstrual cycle would last around 7 days each time, but as I've gotten older, especially after turning 27, the length of my period has gradually shortened, going from 7 days to 6, then to 5, 4, and now it's basically only 2 days. This change indeed makes me feel a bit helpless. Let's talk about skin. I still remember when I was in my 20s, my best friend's boyfriend once commented on my skin. Since he was speaking from an outsider's perspective, his evaluation should have been fairly objective. He said at the time that my skin was very tender, like it could be pinched to produce water. Although my skin condition is still not bad now, it's indeed incomparable to how it was back then. Moreover, with age, some health problems have started to appear. For example, my stomach is particularly bad now. I can only eat one meal a day, and if I eat a little more, I feel like I can't digest it. Even if the meal itself is already quite small, I still find it hard to digest. The changes in the body are not just on the surface. Sometimes, certain problems may go deeper, like affecting the bones or the flesh inside. It's like some trees that look sturdy on the outside but are actually hollow inside. However, my situation is a bit special. I think most women around 30 years old can still have children without much issue, but I have an additional factor: I'm a vegetarian. Because I've been a vegetarian for a long time, my nutrient intake has been very limited. I almost eat the same few vegetables every day, which has led to frequent anemia. Last year, I finally managed to boost my blood levels, but when I went to the hospital for a checkup recently, the doctor said I might be anemic again because my nutrition is too monotonous, and I haven't maintained a balanced diet. Some women think that since they are only in their 30s, say 35 years old, they still have plenty of time. After all, it's quite normal for modern people to live to 80 or 90. I used to think that way too, but gradually I realized this mindset is incorrect. Actually, after turning 33, I started to notice that the special treatment women receive from society decreases drastically, especially in work and life. The advantages women once had are gradually disappearing. Many men yearn to be seen and treated as men, and women are the same. We all hope to be seen as women, to receive the respect and care we deserve. However, the reality is that once you pass 35 as a woman, you've already lost 80%, or even 90%, of the privileges society grants to women. At this point, you might only enjoy the remaining 10% of those privileges. By the time you reach 40, for many men, women are no longer seen as women, but just as people. This is from the perspective of men, and although I personally don't fully agree with this view, I have to admit that it's indeed a social reality that exists, especially when men talk privately or after a few drinks. This mindset becomes even more evident. To be honest, as a woman, what I fear the most is the new label for us older unmarried women in today's society, cut off from water and electricity. In another month, I'll be turning 37, but I really don't know what to do, seeing myself nearing 40. Not only am I unable to earn enough money, but I also feel powerless even to consider doing IVF. As for marriage, finding a suitable partner to marry is even more difficult. Some men are quite suitable in certain aspects, but their conditions are so bad that it's unbearable. On the other hand, those men with decent conditions have personalities that just don't match mine. Right now, I'm really troubled, and my feelings are very complicated. Speaking of marriage, I'm not particularly anxious because of marriage itself. After all, my attitude towards marriage is rather calm. What truly makes me anxious is the issue of having children. When I think about the future, I still have some hope, believing that marriage can be worked on slowly, and that eventually, I will meet the right man. But when it comes to having children, the anxiety almost crushes me. If I had enough money, that would be fine. I could choose to do IVF, and at least the issue of having children could be settled first. But the reality is, I'm trapped in anxiety every day, suffering from insomnia night after night, unable to think of a solution. My friends often advise me, saying the most important thing is to have a child early. But I'm not someone who likes to compromise. I really can't just marry someone casually and have a child. Every time the night grows quiet, the anxiety follows me like a shadow, weighing me down, making it hard to breathe. The anxiety about having children, the financial pressure, and the choice of marriage, all these problems feel like heavy chains, confining me and leaving me with almost no way out. I really don't know how to face the future or how to escape from this dilemma.
我今天去相亲了，30岁的大龄女生还能不能找到真爱呢？
Today, I went on a blind date, feeling both excited and nervous. As a 30-year-old woman, at my age, can I still find true love? This time, the person I was meeting was introduced by a friend, and he seemed to have pretty good qualifications. He has already obtained a hookup in Beijing and bought a house, and he's a young man born in 1996. Although he's a bit younger than me, he's 1.85 meters tall and has a graduate degree, which basically meets my requirements for a partner. We've been chatting online for about a week now, and it feels quite good, so we decided to meet today. Before the meeting, I specifically went to the Alumni Association, where I made dumplings with old classmates. The atmosphere was light and pleasant, which put me in a great mood. This is my first blind date of 2024, and I was filled with anticipation, hoping for a good outcome this time. We chose a location convenient for both of us, as he lives in a nearby district and it takes about 2 hours for him to get to my place. After discussing, we decided to have lamb hot pot together. After we met, the conversation went smoothly, and the atmosphere was quite relaxed. I tentatively asked him a rather sensitive question. Does he really not mind the age gap between us? He smiled and joked, when a woman is 3 years older, it's like holding a gold brick. Although he said that, he also honestly told me that right now, he wants to focus more on his career and doesn't plan to get married for the time being. I continued to ask, then how long do you think it will be? He replied, probably won't get married within the next 2 years. After hearing his answer, I felt a bit conflicted. On one hand, his qualifications are indeed good, and his personality and manner of speaking make me feel comfortable. But on the other hand, his current views on marriage don't quite align with my needs. I've reached a stage where I want to settle down and consider marriage and family, while he isn't ready for that just yet. Do you think this man is reliable?
我是来自江西赣州的，89年的蛇。
I am from Jiangxi, born in 1989 and now 35 years old, still unmarried, becoming what everyone sees as a Daling Xingnu. Nowadays, there are more and more unmarried men and women like me in society, and the pressure we face is also increasing. In the past, I was very firm in my beliefs, always telling others that I would only marry someone I truly like, and if I couldn't find that person, I would rather live alone. I don't understand why people must get married just for the sake of getting married. Not only will that fail to bring happiness, but it will also cause pain for both parties. In my view, marriage should not exist just for the sake of daily life, but because two people love each other and are willing to spend the rest of their lives together, that's when they decide to get married. However, as I get older, the voices around me talking about me grow louder, and the pressure inside me is increasing. Some people directly tell me, you shouldn't have such high standards. Just settle for someone. What will you do if you don't get married and have no children? When you get old, what will happen? Even if you save money, you might be bullied in a nursing home because you don't have children. Some people gossip behind my back, saying that I'm too selfish, only caring about myself and never considering others, especially my parents' feelings. Sometimes I can even clearly sense the strange looks and whispers from others, as if I have become some sort of special existence. Faced with all these pressures, I often wonder, should I continue to stick to my beliefs and stay true to myself? Or should I compromise with society's expectations and the pressure? I'm really conflicted right now. There's no way I can just marry an unsuitable man, but I'm also worried that if I keep waiting and never meet the right one, will I eventually be too old to get married?
Today, older single women in China do face the risk of growing old alone. I know that saying this may invite criticism, but I think it's necessary to make everyone aware of the truth. The current blind date market is extremely unfriendly to women. For them, age and beauty are the only core competitive advantages. No matter how outstanding your education, income, or family background is, many excellent women still face the issue of having their choices stripped away. At this age, women are often no longer the ones making active choices. They become the objects of selection by others. It's like trying to sell seasonal produce at a high price in the market. It's simply wishful thinking. If you insist on high standards, you may really end up growing old alone. All women over 35 usually prioritize unmarried men, but such men are extremely rare. How many unmarried men over 35 are around you? Almost none. This means you've chosen a very narrow path for selecting a partner from the very beginning. It's like there are already very few fish in the pond, yet you still want to pick the big ones. Let's talk about their criteria for choosing a partner. Older single women often hope to find men who are equally educated, aesthetically appealing, and have high incomes. I can responsibly tell you that such men will definitely look down on you, because these men are considered rare gems in the blind date market. If a high-quality man is still unmarried at 35, he must be very selective. Otherwise, he wouldn't have remained single until now. So the ones they prioritize are girls under 25, not women age 35. Just hearing your age will scare them away. This is just the harsh reality. So what about those men who are still unmarried at 35? Usually, they are short, less than 1.65 meters tall, have peculiar personalities, or lack abilities. You wouldn't find such men appealing even if they were still unmarried at 35, right? Thus, you would directly pass on them. Now, if older single women lower their standards, some may consider married men without children. But when these men choose their second wives, they often prefer women under 30. Many men believe that women over 35 have lost their reproductive value. And although this view is infuriating, it doesn't change the reality. Finally, what's left are married men with children. Do such men meet the standards of many self-proclaimed excellent older single women? Many women cannot accept becoming a stepmother to someone else's child. Therefore, I urge all women to face reality. If you want to enter marriage quickly, you first need to lower your standards. For example, if you previously had 5 requirements, you can now maintain only 2 main requirements. Because if you don't find a partner this year, the blind date market will only become more difficult next year. Secondly, take immediate action and set goals for yourself, such as meeting one man each week. I believe that as long as you take action, you will definitely reap rewards. Do you agree with my viewpoint? Feel free to leave your comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us, and we will continue to provide you with better programs. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.